Hey, beautiful people. Today we will take a look at your healthcare system. By definition, your healthcare system is an arrangement of parts and their interconnections that work together for a purpose. And please note that your healthcare system is made of the following, or you have the components. Okay, for the health system, your components, you have the community, you have the departments or ministries of health. For us, of course, you have the Department of Health. And then you have your healthcare providers, as well as health service organizations, pharmaceutical companies, health financing bodies, and then other health-related organizations. Please note that these are the components of a healthcare system. And yes, we will take a look at this soon as we move through. And please note that your health system or your healthcare system, the functions, you have governance. Governance, of course, you have here policy making and regulation of the system. And then you have healthcare service provision. Okay, of course, provision of services, provision of clinical services, of the things that should be needed. And then health promotion. Okay, financing or finance, of course, and management of resources. Those are accordingly the general functions of your health system. Okay, let us take a look at another set of definitions of your health system. You have here, based on rumors in 1991, your health system is a combination of resources, organization, financing, and management that culminate in the delivery of health services to the population. Please note, it is a system. By definition, again, your system, it is actually an interacting or an independent group of items forming a unified whole. So anyway, okay, in your health system, combination of resources, combination of, I mean, there are interacting bodies present here. Of course, you have the organization, the resources, the finance, and the management. And then for WHO, your health system, you have it as all the organizations, institutions, and resources that are devoted to producing health actions. That is based on WHO, and based on WHO, your health action is any effort, whether in personal health care, public health services, or intersectoral initiatives whose primary purpose is to improve the health. Okay, that is the definition of your health system by Romers and by the World Health Organization. Here, the goals of the health system that is identified by the World Health Organization. And number one here is you're improving the health of populations. And please note that this is the bigger picture, this is the bigger umbrella, or this is the broader goal of health system, or this is the overarching goal accordingly. And please note that improving the health of the populations should include or should involve all of the population, all of the constituents, regardless of socio-economic group. Okay, so how are you going to improve the health of the populations? You measure the health status across the entire population and different socio-economic groups. Okay, everyone should be, okay, the entire population should be included. And then uh protect the people from existing and emerging health risks. You build resilience against future unknown health risks. Somewhat, there should be plans, there should be Yes, there should be plans that will address future health risks. Okay, of course, those items okay will help improve the health of the populations. And of course, strive for equitable health and minimize disparities. Please note it says here equitable health. Okay, so what are the sources of inequality here or inequity? Okay, what are the sources of inequity? You have here income. Number one actually is income. Okay, because yes, okay, if you have more income, if you have more money, okay, you have the means actually, you have uh, you have actually access somewhat. Okay, you have access to healthcare, something like that. Okay, anyway, your sources again of health and equity, you have income, ethnicity, occupation, gender, geographic locations, as well as sexual orientation. Please note that these are still part of the socio-economic status of an individual. Okay, they are somewhat source of health inequity also. And yes, one thing that is actually being done by the WHO and by the health systems nowadays is they are trying to address these sources, or they are trying to address this health inequity. Okay, of course, a good example for us in the Philippines, the passing of the universal healthcare law, somewhat, okay, is one way actually to overcome this health inequity. Okay, but then despite that, despite the passing of UHC, okay, there is still a wide gap. There is still inequity. And then, of course, we need to somewhat address this health inequity. Okay, yes, you can actually do something about it in your own way, in your own little way. And please note that your health outcomes they vary widely even among countries or regions with similar socioeconomic status. And yes, disparities or differences are best reduced when recognized and made an explicit national goal. Of course, okay, the goal actually of our health system in the Philippines is inclusion of everyone, regardless of their socio-economic status, regardless of their status in life, regardless if they are rich or if they are poor. Somewhat, there is, what we call this, there is a stigma kasi. Okay, to share with you an image, okay, depicting equality and equity. When you say equality, you provide everyone with the same resources or opportunities, such as equal access to public health information or equal support for mental health services or equal access to public health. Okay, when you say health equity or when you say equity, you provide different levels of support based on individual needs, such as, of course, offering flexible appointment options and others. But then, please note, as based on my observation, based on my opinion, equality in the Philippines, we are still here. We are trying to reach equality. Okay, we're still trying to reach equality. Okay, anyway, here another goal. It's improving the responsiveness of the health system. How are you going to improve the responsiveness? Of course, you provide services in a way that the people want it, and in a way that the people involve them as active participants. one key measure to the success of an event is the number of participants. Okay, so of course, so if you are one way to assess if you're improving the responsiveness of the health system, you actually take a look at the number of active participants. And yes, you respond to the legitimate expectations of the population. What are expected? Okay, if there is an emerging disease, if there is an emerging communicable disease, are you going to put the country on lockdown? Are you going to put this area on lockdown? What if there is this Ebola case in this certain place, in this certain place? Are you going to brush it off and call it as just an isolated case or whatsoever? Okay, and yes, you maximize the people's autonomy and control so that they can make informed choices. Okay, do not be too pushy on your policies. And of course, you place the people at the center of the healthcare system. Of course, people first before your money, people first before your pocket, people first before your convenience, somewhat. Okay, you have your core values for this one. Of course, respectfulness. Of course, you respect your constituents, you respect the people, and then non-discrimination, as well as humanness, and yes, and confidentiality. Of course, confidentiality is one key thing here. Okay, and so informations that seem to be private should not be divulged to someone or to other individuals if not really necessary. Okay? Then you have here your fairness in financial contribution. Please note that the health system, they should provide social and financial risk protection so that paying for healthcare does not impoverish individuals or their families, or does not make the individuals poor, or does not make the families of these individuals who sought healthcare poor. Okay, does not make them poor. Okay, and yes, one good thing in the Philippines, yes, is your PhilHealth. We have your Philippine Health Insurance Corporation. Okay, yes, if you're a member, of course, if you're hospitalized, a portion of your bill is covered by the PhilHealth. Okay, just to give you the idea that we have, okay, just to give you the idea that we have such, okay, that we have such, uh, that we have such a system. Okay, but then of course, it is not flawless. It has a lot of flaws. Okay, anyway, but then, yes, you have malasakit sellers and you can avail HMOs naman. Okay, and yes, your health system, they should ensure adequate funding to deliver essential services. Okay, they should ensure adequate funding to to deliver essential services. And please note that a fairly financed system, okay, a fairly financed health system does not stop the people from seeking needed care because of out of pocket payments at the time of service. But then for us, okay, for us in the Philippines, every time that we visit a private doctor, okay, here is a PF, here is the PF, here is the fee, here is the doctor's fee, or whatsoever. Okay, and yes, a fairly financed health system requires each person to pay roughly the same percentage of their income for health services. Okay, somewhat roughly the same for us. Okay, our PhilHealth contributions is somewhat computed actually based on our salary. Okay, so somewhat yes, okay for that. And please note that A poorly designed health system or poorly designed financing, okay, deters care seeking and worsens the health outcomes because of course people will always think of the money, okay, especially for marginalized individuals. Sasabihin na pera na naman, wala na akong pera, wala na kaming pangsaing ng bigas. Okay, pupunta ako doon at magbabayad na naman. Okay, instead sana na timely yung nabigay na medical care because of because of the cost, okay, hindi na siya pumunta. At naging lumala na lang yung condition niya, something like that. You have here the functions of your health system. Number one here is your health service provision. This is actually the most visible part of the health system, either if that is a public or a private health system. Your most visible part of your health system is the health service provision because that is actually what you provide. It is actually the service. Anyway, of course, your health service provision, it includes delivering clinical care and promoting or preventing illnesses. Of course, for promoting health and preventing illnesses, there is what we call this health education, as well as you include preventive measures. And please note that in health service provision, it involves a wide array or a wide range of activities. Your health service provision or delivering the service, actually, it is an essential part of the system. Delivering the service actually is an essential part of health system, but it is not what the system is. It is not what the system is. Okay, of course, for health service provision, of course, you have a lot. Okay, your physical checkup by the doctor. Okay, your taking of BP by the nurse. Okay, blood extraction by the phlebotomist to be used in clinical tests or in laboratory testing. Those are actual examples of health service provision. You are providing health service. Okay, and then health service inputs. Okay, you manage your resources somewhat. Okay, so a function of your health system is to assemble the essential resources that are needed to deliver the health service. Okay, so what are needed here? Okay, what are the resources needed here? Of course, number one is staff, tao, your worker, manpower. Okay, yes, though they are actually part of your health service inputs. Okay, they are actually your resources. Aside from that, you have medications and equipment, medical equipment. Okay, medical equipment, and you have actually a lot of medical equipment. You name them. The health service inputs somewhat, they are often outside the direct short-term control of the policymakers. And then you have another health function or health system function here. You have stewardship. Okay, by the way, when you say stewardship, this is the job of supervising or taking care of something. Okay, there is a supervision. There is yes, you supervise the system or you oversee the system. Okay, so stewardship, again, this is the job of supervising or taking care something like an organization or a property. And yes, this one is usually a government responsibility. Your stewardship, this is overall system oversight. Okay, usually a government responsibility. A responsibility given to to the secretaries of health, to the directors of health, or whatsoever. Okay, So, in of course, this one, the health system functions to identify health priorities for public resources. Okay, health priorities. Do we need to put up a new institution in this area, a new hospital in this area? Okay, or whatsoever. Are we going to strengthen, okay, the campaign for dengue, for malaria, or whatsoever? Okay, they identify health priorities for public resources. What are the priorities? Are we going to prioritize mental health over dengue? Something like that. Okay, and yes, okay, the health system should establish the institutional framework. Okay, they should establish the institutional framework as well as the health system should set the policy framework, and the context. Okay, so core activities for this stewardship, of course, to identify the health priorities for public resources. You establish the institutional framework. You coordinate with other sectors outside of healthcare. You monitor the trends and health priorities and resources generation. And yes, of course, part of this function is to include generating data for policy making to assess the health status, regulate the sector, and track the system performance and effectiveness of uh, the system as well as the impact of the system. Okay, this one is somewhat leadership and governance. And of course, you have the health financing. Health financing, of course, okay, the health system collects revenues and yes, they allocate the revenue. Okay. They collect the revenue and they allocate the revenue. Yes, they allocate the collected funds. By the way, let's take a look at your revenue collection here under health financing. Your revenue collection, this is the process of gathering money to pay for healthcare services. Okay, so common mechanisms of revenue collection. Okay, general taxation, donor financing, mandatory payroll contributions, mandatory or voluntary risk-rated contributions, direct household or out-of-pocket expenditures, personal savings, and HMOs. Okay? Please note accordingly that each system or each collection method is usually linked to a specific way of organizing, pooling, and using the funds. Okay, like let's say for example, for the public health system, okay, yeah, it is mainly financed by the general taxation. Okay, it is actually yes, your DOH managed or yes, your DOH managed institutions or hospitals, they are actually funded by the okay, they are actually funded by the government. Then you have risk pooling here. This is collecting and managing financial resources so that financial risks are shared across all members of the pool. Okay, this is actually the core function of health insurance. Okay, this is actually the core function of health insurance, if that is HMO or if that is PhilHealth. So of course, okay, this one, your risk pooling provides financial protection and prevents people from having to pay large amounts at the time they need care. Okay, this is the idea of your HMO. Okay, you purchase an HMO, and by the time that you need it, okay, it covers a portion of the hospital cost. And yes, it reduces the chance that the cost will stop people from seeking treatment when sick or when injured. Let's take a look at the health system framework. And please note that you have six building blocks for the health system framework. Okay, so you have this six building blocks. You have service delivery, health workforce, information, medical products, vaccines and technologies, financing, as well as leadership and governance. Okay, these six building blocks, they work together to attain an intermediate goal. So what are the intermediate goals? Attained by the six building blocks, you have access to coverage and quality and safety. Okay, access to coverage and quality healthcare and safe health care somewhat. And of course, these intermediate goals, they contribute to the overall goals. And what are the overall goals of the health system framework? Of course, you have improved health, responsiveness, is what we talked earlier, social and financial risk protection, and improved efficiency. Let's take a look at the building blocks or components of the health system framework one by one. You have your service delivery. Of course, you provide effective or provision of effective, safe, and quality health interventions that be personal or non-personal to the right people at the right time, at the right place, with minimal waste somewhat. Okay, providing the effective and safe interventions. And then, of course, you have the health at workforce. Okay, you provide a responsive, fair, and efficient workforce that achieves the best possible health outcomes. Okay, please note, responsive. Hindi yung tumatawag ka sa 911 tapos hindi sumasagot. Tumatawag ka sa emergency hotline tapos binababaan ka. Something like that. Okay, they should be responsive. Of course, for the health workforce, it requires sufficient numbers of staff as well as actually mix staff who are fairly distributed, competent, responsive, and productive. So somewhat, it says here, competent, responsive, and productive. Okay, hindi po pwede ang tamad naman. Okay? Information as a building block of the health system framework. Okay, of course, so we in the health system we produce data as well as we analyze and we disseminate. Okay, please note that if there is what we call as epidemiology. Okay, yeah. Wherein, okay, what they do here is they count or yes, they do not really count, but then they tally data. Okay, and of course, they release the data. Okay, during this year, how many COVID-related deaths or how many myocardial infarction or cardiovascular-related deaths, something like that. Those are information that are actually okay part of the health system. Of course, so this information they cover health determinants, the performance of the health system, as well as the health status of the population. As part of the framework, you have medical products, vaccines, and technologies. Of course, the health system should provide or should ensure equitable access to essential medicines, vaccines, and technologies. Okay, somewhat in the Philippines, okay, we have the generics. Okay, somewhat accessible naman. Okay, vaccines and technologies. Of course, you have vaccines. Okay, the Department of Health, okay, procures vaccines for the general public. Okay, and yes, these technologies, these vaccines, these products, they should be of assured quality. They should be safe. Okay, and they should be cost effective. So the medical products, the vaccines, and the technologies that should promote that their scientifically sound and cost-effective use. And of course, you have financing here. Financing, of course, it raises adequate funds for health, okay, and ensures the people can access the needed services at a low cost or at no cost at all, somewhat. Okay, and as what we said earlier, what they call this financing protects the people from financial catastrophes, from making them poor because of paying too much for a health service. And then, of course, a part of your health system framework, you have leadership and governance. It will ensure strategic policy frameworks are in place. Okay, your leadership, it is somewhat similar with stewardship naman. Your leadership and governance. Okay. Yeah. Let's take a look at the Philippine health system. Okay, please note that the Philippine health system has undergone a series of reforms on three major areas. So, what are these three major areas that were subject of the reforms here? You have the health service delivery, and then you have health regulation as well as health financing accordingly. And these reforms, they are aimed to solve the problems of poor accessibility of healthcare, inequity in healthcare, and inefficiency accordingly. So let's take a look at this timeline. Okay, so in 1970, okay, the reform is primary healthcare for all. Okay, this one, the purpose is to develop a it developed a largely centralized government funded and operated healthcare system. Okay, and yes, please note that when you say centralized, you bring at the center. Okay, you bring at the center somewhat, or you concentrate by placing everyone at the center. Okay, something like that. Okay, yeah. But then sooner, okay, yeah, this centralized system is devolved. Okay, okay, they broke it down, naging decentralized po siya. Okay, decentralized nowadays, we are actually decentralized. Our health system is actually decentralized. Okay, in 1979, there is the adoption of primary health care. 1979, there is the adoption of primary health care, wherein it promotes participatory management of the local health system. Okay. And 1982, reorganization of the Department of Health. You have here integrated public health and hospital services. And in 1986, you have the Milk Code of 1986, which uh, promotes breastfeeding. Okay, there is this prevention and nutrition to promote breastfeeding. 1988, the Generics Act. Okay, you have the Generics Act here, where prescriptions are written using the generic name of the drug in an attempt to lower the expenditure on drugs by promoting and purchasing non-branded medicines or the generic ones. Okay, generic ones, of course, they are uh, cheaper comparing it with the branded ones. You have 1991, your LGU code, your RA 7160 with the local government code, wherein it transferred the responsibility of health service provision to the local government units. Okay, somewhat there is a devolution or there is a decentralization of health services, okay, to local government units. Okay, from centralized going to decentralized. From DOH, okay, uh, going to the LGUs. Okay, and then 1995, your National Health Insurance Act. This one aims to provide all citizens a mechanism for financial protection with priority given to the poor. Okay, and in 1996, your health sector reform agenda, you have here the major restructuring of your DOH for better uh, delivery of for better delivery, financing, as well as regulation of the health system. And then Formula One for health in 2005. This is the adoption of operational framework to undertake reforms with speed, precision, and effective coordination accordingly. And in 2008, you have the RA 9502, that is the Access to Cheaper and Quality Medicines Act, which promotes and ensures access to affordable quality drugs and medicines for all. In 2010, you have the Kalusugang Pangkalahatan. This is this is your universal health coverage and access to quality healthcare for all Filipinos. So please note this is different from the universal healthcare law. Okay, and the syntaxes law, or I mean syntax for health, you have in 2013. It generates extra revenue for the Department of Health by discouraging harmful consumption of alcohol and tobacco. And in 2019, you have here your universal healthcare law, wherein it enrolls all Filipino citizens or enrolling all Filipino citizens automatically in the National Health Insurance Program that is administered by the PhilHealth, meaning all Filipinos are guaranteed equitable access to quality and affordable healthcare services. Your Department of Health. This one is mandated to provide national policy direction and develop national plans, as well as technical standards and guidelines of health. Okay, of course, for us, okay, in the clinical laboratory setting, of course, you have the administrative order 2021-037 that governs, or yes, that governs the operation of a clinical laboratory, that governs the licensing of clinical laboratory. Those ones are issued, that is actually issued by the Department of Health. Okay, and you have actually a lot of administrative orders that are actually issued by the Department of Health. Anyway, aside from that, your DOH provides technical assistance, or it offers technical assistance as well as capacity building and advisory services. Okay, it supports disease prevention and control. Okay, it supports. There are actually campaigns for disease prevention and control. Campaigns for what you call this? Campaigns for dengue. Actually, your campaigns for your hand washing soaps or your soaps, actually those are actually campaigns in promoting health. Okay, the advertisements of Safeguard, those are actually campaigns in promoting health, and actually those are also supported by the DOH. Okay, aside from those, your DOH supplies medicines and vaccines. Okay, your DOH, they procure, okay, medicines that are given free of charge to the public. Okay, upon consultation, of course, as well as, okay, your deworming. Those are items that are done. They are free actually. Okay, if they are provided, they are procured by the DOH and provided to the public free. Okay, and yes, your vaccines, okay, they are actually free. Okay, and yes, aside from those, DOH coordinates national health programs through local government. Yeah. you have here the duties of the Department of Health. Number one is developing health policies and programs. Okay, your DOH develops health policies and you have actually a lot of health policies and programs by the DOH. Okay, a good example actually is your policies for TB. Okay, you have this Philippine Acceleration Action Plan for tuberculosis. What else? Okay, uh, Barangay Nutrition Program or Barangay Nutrition Scholar Program. Okay, blood donation programs, those items, they are actually uh, developed by DOH. Your adolescent health and development program, these are actually cancer control programs. These are actually programs that are developed by the DOH. Of course, the Department of Health enhances partners' capacity through technical assistance. Okay, if you need, okay, uh, yes, if you need technical assistance, you ask DOH. Okay, you send a letter, you furnish a copy, you furnish a letter to the DOH, and yes, they are more than happy, okay, to assist you. Actually, okay, leveraging performance for priority health programs among partners, and developing and enforcing regulatory policies and standards. Again, one example that I mentioned earlier is your Administrative Order 2021-037. That is actually a policy, or that is, yes, that is a standard. Okay, that is a policy in licensing clinical laboratories. Okay, your DOH, it provides specific programs that affect large segments of the population and provides specialized and tertiary level care. Of course, you have your, what you call this, you have DOH, accredited institutions, or you have DOH operated institutions. Okay, yeah. Please note, you have DOH operated institutions. Your Baguio General Hospital and Medical Center, that is a DOH operated institution. Okay, your regional centers, they are actually your regional hospitals, they are actually your subnational hospitals, they are actually operated by the DOH. And yes, these institutions, they provide specialized and tertiary level care. Okay, what about the LGU? So what we said earlier, okay, from the centralized health system, it became decentralized. Okay, it became decentralized. The DOH, it transferred, okay, its oversight to the LGU. But then still, the DOH, okay, but then still the DOH here retains the role of national coordination and technical support for the LGU. So what we said earlier, the Local Government Code of 1991, it granted the LGUs autonomy and responsibility for their own health services. But then, as what we said, okay, the DOH provides, or it retains still the role of national coordination and technical support. Okay, even if the LGUs, even if they already have the autonomy and responsibility for their own health services, okay, the DOH still retained its role as retained its role for national coordination and technical support. Meaning, okay, parte pa rin po si DOH. Okay, DOH still part of the health system. Okay, the national programs, of course, of the DOH, these are coordinated by uh, the national health programs, of course, are coordinated by DOH through the LGUs. Okay, so what is the effect? So what is the effect of this Local Government Code of 1991? Again, it transferred the responsibility and autonomy for health services to the LGUs. And of course, the LGU now they manage their own local health service. They manage their own local health service. But then again, as what I said, the DOH, it retained the role as national coordination and technical support. By the way, when we say LGU or local government units, they are the political subdivisions of the country. Okay, they are political subdivisions of the country. And yes, these LGUs, they enjoy local autonomy, which is guaranteed by the 1987 Constitution and the Local Government Code of 1991 accordingly. So for the structure of your LGUs, please note we have 82 provinces, we have 149 cities, we have 1,493 municipalities. Okay, you have 42,011 barangays, and we have 18 regions. We have 18 regions. Of course, these provinces, they are headed by, they are headed by a governor. Okay, they are headed by a governor. These cities, of course, they are headed by a city mayor, by the city mayor. With the municipalities, of course, they are headed by the municipal mayor, the mayor, and the barangays, they are headed by barangay captains or barangay chairpersons. So, as what we said earlier, the LGU, they have the autonomy and responsibility for their own health system. But then, as what we said, the DOH, they provide the guidance. Okay, the DOH or the national government provides a guidance to this LGU through DOH. Okay, they provide guidance through DOH representatives under regional health offices. Please note, we have regional health offices. We call them as your CHD. Okay, they are actually your regional offices. For us here, the DOH car is located in, just near Baguio General Hospital. They are located at Baguio General Hospital and Medical Center compound. And yes, of course, for the city and municipal government, they provide primary care through public health and primary health centers. And these ones, they are linked to barangay health centers or health outposts accordingly. Okay, this is your decentralization. That is the decentralization of your health system. This one, the structure shows how service delivery is decentralized, while the Department of Health continues to give technical guidance and coordination. Okay, so yes, this is the overall structure. Of course, in the national government, you have DOH, okay, the Department of Health. And at the regional level, you have here your regional offices, okay, and at the provincial or city level, you have your city health office and your provincial health offices. Okay, and at the municipal level, you have health offices, health centers, and barangay health stations. Okay, for us, of course, as what I've said, in in here in Cordillera, DOH Cordillera, okay, it is located at the BJHMC compound. Okay, the City Health Office for Baguio is located in T. Alonso. Okay, and then, of course, you have your health centers. By the way, we have super health centers. Okay, ngayon, may tinatawag po tayong super health centers. Okay, your Irisan Health Center, I think that is a super health center. Your Aurora Hill, that is also a super health center. Okay, and again, this structure, okay, shows you the decentralized, okay, decentralized structure of or decentralization of health services. while maintaining the national oversight by the DOH. Okay, yes, your decentralized structure, the state again is represented by the DOH or national offices of the Department of Health, and your LGU at the provincial, city, municipal, and barangay levels. Okay, yeah, the DOH, the LGUs, and the private sector, they work together in in delivering healthcare. They participate, they cooperate, and they collaborate in delivering. Okay, let's take a look at a comparison between a centralized and decentralized healthcare system. Okay, as 2 points of comparison, you have structure, control, and service levels. Okay. For centralized, it is directly controlled by the DOH. For decentralized, the control is shared between the DOH and the local government unit. And for the structure, when you say centralized, it is a three-tiered system under the DOH. For decentralized, it is mixed system. When you say three-tiered system, you have the primary healthcare system or primary healthcare, and then you have secondary healthcare and tertiary healthcare. When you say primary healthcare, that is the first point of contact for patients. And in this healthcare, they only provide basic medical services, basic maternal and child care, as well as disease prevention. Okay, for secondary healthcare, okay, you have facilities like district hospitals offering somewhat specialized medical services and referrals. For the tertiary, okay, advanced health services. Okay, okay, for tertiary healthcare, you already have here your advanced healthcare services that involve specialized institutions and personnel. Okay? So dito, in the tertiary healthcare, dito ka na makakakita ng espesyalista ng puso or whatsoever. Okay? Paano ba nangyayari ito? Okay, in decentralized, meaning it says that first, pupunta ka muna kay PHC. You go first to primary healthcare. After primary healthcare, if they cannot do it, you go to secondary healthcare. If they cannot handle it, if hindi nila kaya na i-handle yung case mo, they will refer you to tertiary. Okay, ganun po ang centralized. But then if you say mixed system, okay, you just go. You can go anywhere you want. Okay, and then service levels. Okay, service levels, of course, you have tertiary hospitals for centralized, provincial and district hospitals. Okay, so this is actually the three-tiered system. Okay, you go first to barangay health, and then municipal health, and then provincial health, and tertiary hospitals. So, in decentralized the self-service levels, basic health services by the cities and municipalities, okay, and the rest. Most tertiary medical centers, specialty hospitals, and some renationalized provincial hospitals managed by DOH. Let's take a look at the directions of the Philippine health sector. Okay, you have here the Philippine Health Agenda under Department of Health Administrative Order 2016-0038. The slogan is All for Health towards Health for All. And the vision, a healthy Philippines by 2020. Please note that under this, it expands universal health care using a whole of government approach. Okay, so in this Philippine Health Agenda, population and individual interventions for all life stages. Okay, to promote health and wellness, prevent or treat triple burden of disease, delay complications, and provide rehabilitation and palliation accordingly. Okay, so under Philippine Health Agenda, access to health interventions through functional service delivery networks and financial risk protection through universal health insurance. Okay, and Philippine Development Plan 2017-2022. This is actually a medium term plan that contains four key plans that translates national aspirations into concrete actions. And then you have the NEDA. NEDA Ambition natin 2040. This is a long-term vision, somewhat 25 years. Okay, long-term vision, 25 years of vision. It is a collective goal of a better life for Filipinos and the country by 2040. And then your SDGs, your Sustainable Development Goals of 2030. You have here your global framework of 17 goals, which aims to end poverty, to fight inequality and injustice, and address climate change and its effects. And of course, you have your universal health care. Okay, your universal health care or kalahatan pangkalusugan. Okay, kalahatan pangkalusugan. Of course, okay, it aims for better health outcomes, responsive health system, and equitable health financing. Okay, that is for your directions of your Philippine health.
So I guess let's end here. Let's continue some other time. And this has been Gael, reminding you to live fully, love deeply, laugh often, keep learning, and never forget to enjoy the ride. And as you move forward, may you always choose curiosity over fear, kindness over convenience, and growth over comfort. Celebrate your small victories. Honor your quiet moments and trust that every step, no matter how uncertain, shapes the story you are meant to tell. The world is wide, your time is precious, and your journey is uniquely yours. So go make it extraordinary. Again, this has been Gael. Thank you. Thank you so much, and see you around.